In this video, you will get familiar and you will be provided with relevant information regarding the ways how to design augmented reality.
Augmented reality, AR, has become an indispensable tool in education as it elevates students' learning and engagement in ways that were previously unattainable. Augmented reality enables students to visualize abstract concepts, explore three-dimensional 3D models, and interact with digital content in the real world. However, the efficacy of augmented reality in education largely depends on the quality of the AR design. Therefore, in this chapter, we will dwell into the best practices for augmented reality design in education. The crux of effective augmented reality design lies in having a clear definition of learning objectives that aligns with the learning outcomes. The objectives should guide the augmented reality design process, enable the selection of appropriate AR tools proposed in the previous chapter, and identify relevant content. This approach ensures that the augmented reality design is relevant, practical, and meets the desired learning outcomes. When designing the augmented reality experience, it is paramount that the design is straightforward and intuitive for students to use. Clear, concise instructions can help guide students through the augmented reality experience. Complex designs can be overwhelming for students, distracting them from the learning objectives. Therefore, it is vital to prioritize the learning objectives and keep the augmented reality design focused on achieving these goals. The amount of information provided should also be strongly related to the objectives, as it will keep pupils focused and still engaged in the experience. Too much information, especially if it is not related to the objective, can result in cognitive overload for the pupil, and using augmented reality will lose all of its charm. When designing various activities with augmented reality, also think of how easy will be experiences to be maintained or update. Some experiences might be used only once per class a year, with the idea to reuse it every year. Differently from physical media, virtual media can be updated in a relatively easier way, and developers should think about how they would change some information or add new material. A simple design choice would be to use editable text blocks whenever possible, rather than picture with the text inside. Even a small misspelling that might get noticed later will create much more work when the developer needs to edit or re-upload a whole picture, rather than changing it within the text box. Try to approach all solutions with a similar mentality. The learning environment is an essential factor to consider when designing augmented reality experiences. The AR design should be appropriate for the specific learning environment with appropriate lighting, sound, and physical space. The design should also be adaptable to different learning environments, such as a classroom, a lab, or an outdoor setting. This ensures that the augmented reality experience is not hindered by environmental factors. Interactive elements is another key feature to effective augmented reality design. The AR experience should be interactive, with elements that respond to the user input and encourage exploration and discovery. This can include features such as quizzes, games, and simulations, which can help to reinforce learning objectives and make the augmented reality experience more engaging. By incorporating interactive elements, educators can create an augmented reality experience that is both educational and fun. However, when these elements should also cater to students with diverse learning needs, including those who might have physical or cognitive disabilities. Increased augmented reality accessibility and inclusivity does not take away from the average student, but might mean an entirely different level of engagement for any special need ones. Feedback and assessment are also essential components of AR design. The augmented reality experience should provide immediate feedback to the user, letting them know if they have achieved the learning objectives or if they need to try again. This can be done through the use of quizzes or interactive elements that provide feedback as the user interacts with the augmented reality experience. Feedback and assessment are critical for measuring the effectiveness of the augmented reality experience and ensuring that learning objectives are being achieved. Now, let's focus on developing augmented reality content. As discussed, augmented reality is a powerful tool that enables educators to enhance the learning experience by overlaying digital information on the real world. Therefore, it is no surprise that augmented reality is gaining popularity in the field of education. It provides a fun and interactive learning environment, which is critical for engaging learners of all ages. In previous chapter, we have covered the basics for augmented reality, including the definition, examples, tools used to create augmented reality content, and development best practices. In this chapter, we will dwell deeper into the process of creating augmented reality content itself. Let's start with recommended creative pipelines for augmented reality experience developers. Number 1, creative planning, what I want. Number 2, design planning, it means what I need. Number 3, asset creation, creating what I need. Number 4, augmented reality content development, creating what I want. And finally, number 5, publishing, showing what I created. First of all, creating augmented reality content is a complex process that requires a lot of thought and planning. The first step is to generate ideas for the augmented reality experience, which should align with the learning objectives and be engaging and relevant to the target audience. The target audience could be pupils in a classroom or even professionals in other fields who want to gain an understanding in this sphere. The idea should be tailored to the interests and learning styles of the target audience, keeping in mind their age group and activeness levels. It is also very important to discuss ideas with peers, as it helps to not get mentally blocked and filter out the good ideas from the bad ones. Once you have an idea for augmented reality experience, the next step is design and visualize planning. During this stage, you will map out the augmented reality experience and user interface, including interactions between the user and the augmented reality content. This stage is crucial as it lays on the foundation for the entire project. So feel free to use whatever means necessary to help yourself visualize whatever will be needed. This can include pen and paper, online prototyping, or even as simple as a list of items. If you need to present the idea, use flowcharts, diagrams, and wireframes to map out the interface and exemplify the interaction between the user and proposed augmented reality content. It is important to create a design that is intuitive and easy to use for the end user. The design should be engaging and make use of the latest technology and tendencies to provide an immersive experience. Think also about repeatability and speed. Is the content still interesting if it's being seen for the first time, and should it sometimes the first time where factors can leave a more lasting impression than a repeatable but less memorable experience. So tailor it according to your material's needs. After planning and designing, the third stage for augmented reality content development is content creation. This stage involves creating, or at least finding, the actual content for the augmented reality experience. Content can include 3D models, images, videos, and audio. The content should be aligned with the learning objectives and designed to be visually appealing and engaging for the target audience. It is important to use high-quality content that is optimized for augmented reality to provide an engaging experience. For beginners, the tool might be too complex, but using pre-made assets and objects can work in the developer's favor. It can be very overwhelming at first, yeah. So it is essential to start small and focus on simple but visually appealing content that would align with the objectives. Once the developer is comfortable using stock images and free 3D resources, they can easily move on to learning how to create models themselves. Augmented reality development is the fourth stage of AI experience manifest and can be quite challenging for beginners that are new in the field. Easiest way to overcome this challenge is to start by doing simple augmented reality development projects or tutorials which also deepen developers' knowledge of the tool they choose. During this stage, the augmented reality content is integrated with the chosen AR platform. It is important to test the augmented reality experience during this stage to ensure that everything is working properly. It is important to test the augmented reality experience during development to identify and fix any bugs or issues before developing to the public. It is essential to have a solid understanding of the augmented reality platform's capabilities and limitations to develop an experience that is optimized for the platform. Exploring with a small target audience in multiple prototype stages can provide good feedback and give insight into what elements are necessary, allowing to refine the augmented reality experience even further. It is important to take into account the feedback from user testing and incorporate it into the augmented reality experience. Finally, publishing the experience in technology terms known as development. It is the last stage for AR content development. Deploying an augmented reality experience can be challenging for beginner developers, particularly when choosing the platform such as mobile apps, websites, or dedicated augmented reality devices. They can start by exploring different deployment options and choosing the one that best fits their needs and the needs of the target audience. It is important to make sure that the platform is accessible to the target audience and that it's easy for them to use the augmented reality experience. If the experience is meant to be publicly available, developers can also leverage social media and other marketing channels to promote their augmented reality experience and increase its visibility. In conclusion, creating augmented reality content is a multi-step process that requires careful planning and execution. By following best practices in each stage, developers can create engaging and effective augmented reality content that meets the needs of their target audience. The process of developing AR content includes generating an idea, planning and design, content creation, AR development and user testing, and deployment. Developing AR content can be time consuming, but is worth the effort as it provides a fun and interactive way to support learning objectives.
Since the project has been co-funded by the European Union, it's a must for us to mention that the European Commission's support for the production of this publication does not constitute an endorsement of the contents, which reflect the views only of the authors, and the Commission cannot be held responsible for any use which may be made of the information contained therein.